Hello there, this is Guitar Workshop with Ken, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about some very basics of the guitar for those of you who are just starting out, and some things that might be helpful that will help your improvement and your motivation for improvement. One of the things that's really helpful in motivating me to play is if I sound as good as I can sound for what I'm learning. And one of the ways to do that is, well, there's a few things. First of all, you want to start out with as good of an instrument as you can. A good instrument encourages playing and spending time in practicing, and because your ears hear the tone of a good instrument. So I know not everybody can get a guitar like this. This is a Mark Knopfler special, and just a beautiful instrument. But there are certainly nice sounding guitars and playing guitars in the $300, $400, $500 range for starting out that work really well. So a good instrument set up well, that's very important too. If you've got strings that are, you know, far away from the fretboard, and you've got to push really hard to make them sound, and then they twang anyways, that's just not going to be very rewarding, and it's not going to sound very good. And so a good instrument that's number two, set up well, so when you press on the strings, you know, you can get a clear sound without having to injure your fingers to do it. So you've got a good instrument, you've got it set up at least decently. The neck should be, you know, straight and not bowed like this. So so assuming you have those two things, well, then you want to tune it up, make sure it's in tune. And there are different kinds of tuners. You can use a pitchfork, tuning pitch, which is an A440, which is the A string, which is the fifth string right here. So that would be tuned to an A440. And if you're doing this all manually, you would start with that string. And the easiest way to learn how to tune a guitar is just going to the 5th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here, and putting your finger on that fret, and then this tone, which is a D, should match the next string, which is the 4th string, which is a D string. So you want to make sure those are in pitch. Now if this is, my D string is flat, it's going to sound like this. Now it might take some of you a while to figure out, well, is that flat or is that sharp? Do I tighten it or do I loosen it? So you'll just have to work with that some. This is lower, so I'm going to tune it up. Now let's say that was sharp. The string is a little bit higher pitch. The 4th string, the D string, is a little higher pitch than what I'm. It's got to come down, and rather than just bring it down to meet, if I just do that, sounds good right now, but I've just loosened it. I've gone from a tenser string to loosening it down to pitch, and inevitably what can happen is that will eventually loosen up a little bit more because I've taken the tension off. So as I'm playing, it'll go out of tune. So when you're tuning down, you always want to go down a little bit lower than you have to, and then bring it up again. So you're putting the tension on the string as you're tightening it. And when you do that, and get it to tune, then it will more likely stay in tune for a longer period of time. Okay, so then you, after you've got the D string tuned, you would go to the next string, and again you go up to the 5th fret on the D string for the pitch of the 3rd string, which is your G string. And that sounds fine to me, so we're going to stay with that. Now here's a little tricky part. Because when you're tuning a guitar, everything is on the 5th string except, or the 5th fret, I'm sorry, the 5th fret, except for the 3rd string. That's when you go down to the 4th fret. For the pitch of the 2nd string. And then you go back to the 5th fret. And then for the E string, make sure that one's in tune. Say that's out of tune. Again, we go to the 5th fret, and that should match this 5th string, the A string that we started on. Sound flat. A little sharp. Got to go down, come up. Okay, so now I've got a good guitar. I've got a guitar that's set up well. I've got a guitar that's now in tune. Best I can tell anyways. And that's manual tuning. Of course, we'll say this one thing before I move on here. There are certainly all kinds of different electronic tuners you can get that make it a little bit easier. And these they need to touch, typically they need to be set up on your guitar somewhere. Either on the headstock or on the body of the guitar. You turn it on and it goes by vibration. It feels a vibration, and then it'll tell you what note and what pitch you're in, and you'll be able to tune your guitar from that. A lot of people like to find that much easier to do, and that's fine. But I would certainly not want to devalue in any way learning to tune by ear, because that's very important. So you can hear the pitch, you can hear if it's flat, you can hear if it's sharp. You may not always have an electronic tuner at your disposal when you're playing, and or if you're on some deserted island and you just need to play a tuned up guitar, you're out of luck then if you can't tune by ear and by manually. So work on that manually, the way I'm sure you can pick that up on the internet too, and that'll go into a little more detail than I went into on that. So we've got a good guitar. We've got a guitar that is set up well. We've got a guitar that's in tune, and we're ready to learn a few chords.